All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight, fresh off a big win. Vinc Pichel. Vince, how's it going?
What's up, Cole, man? I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Let's get right into your fight. Really short notice. We talked before, like a week and a half notice. What was heading into the fight? Like, how confident were you just with not getting much training or preparation for Jim Miller?
I was very confident. I was already looking for a fight. I was prepared. I was only training once a day, but I was definitely prepared. I was training hard. I was doing my thing. So I was prepared for a fight against Jim Miller. It was a little scary of a fight, just to take on short notice like that. But I said, "Fuck it, let's do it."
Uh, a lot of people predicting this fight just thought if you can survive that first round, you're probably going to win the fight. Did you feel the same thing just because Jim is the most dangerous in that first, and that's where he gets a lot of his submission wins?
Yeah, that was a big thing for us. The first round is always the most dangerous, right? You're not sweaty. Guys are fresh. They're their strongest. They're their most explosive. So Jim Miller is a known hard out the gate kind of guy. So yeah, I just had to weather a little bit, which I wasn't too worried about it because I didn't really I didn't expect him to strike the way he did at me. I was expecting him to go straight for a takedown, straight turn into a grappling match. But he came to fight, and so that surprised me a little bit. But yeah, just had to weather that first round. Be super careful about getting subbed, which I was in a little bit of trouble. He had me in that calf slasher, which was a bad position, but I wasn't in too much danger. I was defending it properly, and he couldn't really advance his position to finish that on me.
Well, that's part of what I want to touch on. I was watching the fight with a couple of my buddies, and a lot of them are like, "Man, I'd be tapping right there just because of all the pain in your calf." How painful was that position?
The calf slicer actually wasn't painful at all. I wasn't really, I me personally, I wasn't threatened. It wasn't hurting. I had my one hand on the left side blocking his other foot from using it to apply pressure. I had my other foot kicking his hands off, so he wasn't able to, you know what I mean, pushing on my own leg, straining my own leg to stop him from applying pressure. So I was defending properly, and it wasn't too much danger. The guillotine at the end, though, that was very dangerous. He uh,
Yeah.
he almost caught me at the end with that guillotine.
If that round was a couple more, like how close do you think that was to finish to tapping you out?
The guillotine.
Yeah.
If I didn't get my head out when I did, another couple seconds, 2 or 3 seconds, I would have been done. I would have went out or had to tap.
And this win over Jim Miller, he's obviously has the record for the most UFC fights. You can go down his resume, hold the punch UFC record. Now to have him on your resume, like what's that like? Because obviously Jim Miller's like a legend of this sport, so to be able to say you fought and beat him, like what's that like?
That feels good, man. Jim's a super tough dude. He is there to fight every time, right? And he's finished some tough guys. I think he's only been like really stopped once by Dan Hooker. So he's just a super tough, durable guy, very dangerous guy that could sub you in any round. So it's a big skin on my wall, and I'm nothing but excited about the turnout of the fight.
Do you think that's the biggest win of your career?
Yes, I think so. Um, Probably the most highest profile fight of my career. It's a hard shit to say right there.
And what was it like to be fighting on this big pay-per-view card? Because obviously you had the heavyweight trilogy, you had a lot of big names. This card had a lot of hype behind it. So what was it like being able to fight on this one?
It was a blessing, man. I knew they were trying to actually fill the card up still, and they were kind of a little low on fights. So I hit up my manager and was like, "Hey, man, I'll take a short notice fight." I'm like, the Cormier, the Cormier and Miocic card I know isn't full, so if there's a short notice, let me know who it is and I'll take it. You know what I mean? And so that's what happened. I got told about the Miller fight on the third, accepted it, got announced the fourth, went into training camp and fought on the 15th.
This was your first fight in about 14 months. We talked before about the injuries you had. Were you worried about like ring rust or how you'd feel in there?
No, ring rust is kind of a confidence thing for me. People that experience ring rust, it's just a lack of confidence. I don't really believe in that kind of shit. But I was a little worried after the hip surgery if my hip would hold up in a camp. But during the whole training, I didn't have any issues with it. I've been stretching. I'm doing my mobility stuff. I'm really working on my body and keeping myself flexible, injury free, and able to continue fighting. And now I'm going to try to fight again by the end of the year.
You were landing quite a few heavy shots. Do you think you were ever close to finishing Jim Miller in this one?
I think in the second round, yes, I was close to being finishing him. If I had another, maybe 10 to 30 seconds, I think I could have finished him. I was starting to land heavy shots. He was wearing out. I knew the pressure that I was putting on him was a lot for him to handle in that second round.
You mentioned there, that's what I want to touch on is you said you wanted to get another fight in this year. Is that the goal, is to get at least one more just because you had this long layoff? You've had a lot of those injuries. So start building a winning streak and some momentum.
Yes, I got time to make up, man. I have a lot of time to catch up for. I've been injured. My old ass body's been battered and bruised. I'm good now. This is one of the few fights that I've came into with not one injury, not a stubbed finger, not a stubbed toe, nothing. Right? Not even a bump or a bruise. So my body feels great. I feel like I'm young again. Aside from the Miller fight, I got a couple bumps and bruises now. As soon as those heal up in like a week, this week or so, right back in the gym, looking to get a fight by the end of the year.
Yeah, you didn't take much damage that fight. Like your face is all no like major cuts or anything. Like, so how quickly are you looking to make this next fight happen?
Depends. My right ankle's a little sore from a kick that I landed on him.
Yeah.
One of the kicks, I'm sure. My elbows are a little sore, which I'm not too worried about. But as soon as my ankle is good and I could actually jog good again, and my foot doesn't look like a damn elephant's foot, I'm gonna get right back in the gym. I'm gonna let Sean Shelby know, like, hey, what cards do you need to get filled, and then give me a fight.
Are you interested in going to Fight Island or Vegas only?
I'm down to fight on Fight Island. Be a nice little vacation. Although I think they would just let us fight and then put us on a plane and ship us right back over here, right? So if it's like that, then I'd rather just go to Vegas. But it doesn't matter to me as long as I get to kick someone's ass for a pocket full of cash.
What was this fight like? 'Cause there was a lot of moments where you could even just picture all the fans like the chanting and screaming they do. To have just basically silence, like especially when you had that guillotine in, there'd be a lot of noise. When you were landing those heavy shots in the second round, there'd be a lot of noise. Like, what was that like for you, just hearing nothing?
It was honestly like it's normal for me, man. I was on the Ultimate Fighter, so I'm used to the quietness of it. But even before fighting, I was fighting in the streets, so there wasn't like I'm used to fighting around like a couple people, or you know what I mean, trying to keep the witnesses down, so to speak. So the lack of noise actually kind of helped me. It let me listen to his corner a little more. Let me hear my corner without them just screaming and yelling at me, you know what I mean, repeatedly over shit. So it definitely it plays a part, but as far as it goes for me, I think it helps me a little bit.
What was fight week like for you? Because this is your first time doing this like COVID fight week, all the testing, all like just staying in your room for a bit. What was that like for you?
It's pretty nuts, man. We live in a crazy, crazy world right now. I had to get tested before I flew out or before I drove out there. I had to pass that test. Once I got out there, I had to pass another test. I had to be quarantined for 24 hours. Then, you know what I mean? I was able to do my thing. And then Friday after weigh-ins, we got tested again. Had to be quarantined until the next day, until fight day morning. And then, so it was pretty intense. But I got to give it to Dana and the staff and the crew is they did a really good job implementing certain rules and things that keep guys safe, keep COVID from spreading. And in no other sport has the spread of COVID been basically stopped so it doesn't go to other athletes. You know what I mean? In a competition, like it's happening in baseball, it's happening in basketball. You know what I mean? So the UFC has done a really, really good job at keeping all of us safe as fighters and able to continue fighting and be the only sport out there basically that's done it safely.
This was obviously, like you mentioned, your most high profile win. So, like, who is there anyone in mind of who you want next? Because the lightweight has a lot of intriguing options for you.
It does, and it's a Shark Tank. So honestly, I don't really have anyone in my mind. I'm just a violent bastard with anger problems that will fight whenever I need to fight. So I'm just looking for a fight. Who would you like me to see me fight? Right? Like, who do you think would be a good fight for me? And maybe I'll recommend that to Sean.
Man, there's so many. Like, if you're going, do you know what I actually think would be a really cool fight is
uh,
a rematch, but the first fight never really counted. Is you and Iaquinta. You fought on the Ultimate Fighter. It's technically an exhibition. To run that
yeah.
one back as a professional, I think that'd be really cool.
I've actually been trying to fight Al for a long time. He's been kind of dodging me, so I don't know. I kind of lost interest because now I'm like, okay, well, he clearly doesn't want none. He knows it's not going to be an easy fight for him. Maybe just I don't know. I'm a high risk for Al honestly because if I torment Al like I did Jim Miller, it's going to make him look real bad, right?
Are you hoping it's a rank R? Or do you not really care?
I'm hoping it is, but I don't really care, man. I don't really care. I just have a lot of time to make up. I'm getting old in the sport. You know, I feel great. I don't see an end coming anytime soon to my career. That's how good I feel. But I'm looking to just bust out fights and make up for lost time and just collect this cash that I should have been collecting this whole time. You know what I mean? But injuries have been stopping me.
Well, that's what I want to touch on. 37, but you haven't fought many fights in the UFC, but you obviously talked before about all your street fights you did. But so how much longer do you see yourself going? Like, do you see yourself fighting into your 40s?
I don't know, man. I honestly don't know. I'm letting my body decide that. And when my body tells me I'm slowing down or I can't keep up with the way I train and I mean then maybe, but as far as right now, I don't see that in sight, and that's not even a conversation me and my body are even near having yet. When I'm in the gym, you wouldn't know the difference between me or a 22-year-old kid in the gym that's training, right? So as long as I still see that, and my body tells me I'm good, I'm gonna keep fighting, man. I'm gonna keep fighting and keep terrorizing these guys, and keep scaring the shit out of people.
Was it weird for you just because Jim Miller has all these records like most UFC fights, and you were the older one in that fight?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. I thought it was kind of funny too because someone called me the young gun, and I'm like almost 2 years older than Jim, but whatever. But a little bit, yeah. I think a lot of people don't know about me, right? Because I'm fairly quiet. I'm not super huge on my social media. I'm not an attention whore. So a lot of people don't really know too much about me. And so I just feel like when I come out sometimes, people are like, who the fuck is this guy, right? I just got to show them.
We've talked a lot of times. I've never asked you. I've always wanted to. Where did the name a nickname from Hell come from? Because that's one of the top nicknames in MMA.
It actually came from my mom. So I never told my mom. Honestly, when I was growing up, I was a little son of a bitch, man. Like I was a little son of a bitch. That's all I could really say. But I didn't tell my mom I was fighting when I first started training and fighting because I got arrested for a lot, right? So I was kind of just trying to prove to myself that it's something that I was going to do before I actually told my family in going pro. So before my first pro fight, I was in the kitchen with my mom at her house, and I was like, "Hey, gotta tell you something. I got a job." She's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm fighting now." She's like, "Yeah, you get arrested for it all the time, stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know you fight." I was like, "No, like I'm fighting professionally. Like I'm doing MMA, mixed martial arts, like the kind of stuff you see on TV." I was like, "I'm having my first pro fight." And so she's like, "Oh, what's your nickname gonna be? The Pichel from Hell?" And I just started laughing, right? We just started laughing because then we started talking about like all the shit that I used to do when I was younger, what a little asshole I was. And then I was like, "Damn, man, like it honestly really fits me, right? And it rhymes. It's got goes with the rhyme scheme. It fits me very well." I told my coaches about it. We workshopped a little bit and came up with From Hell Pichel, and it stuck.
Yeah.
It was something that just it was a nickname that when people say it, it just sticks because it's just so fitting, and it's just so fitting of
Uh, the mustache too. When did you get that? That's
me.
probably up there for a top mustache.
I've had my mustache actually for a bit. Maybe, geez, I want to say I've had it for like 6 to 8 months. Um, I grew it because, man, ever since I watched that movie Bronson, I was like, damn, that's fucking hard. That dude looks like a fucking badass with the stash, right? And then obviously I'm a fan of Don Fry, you know what I mean, and Severin and the boys. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna grow myself a caterpillar, and we're gonna sport that shit. I actually had a mustache when I fought Gregor too, but by then it was kind of white trashy still, didn't grow in as good yet. But now that it's grown in, I'm rocking it, and I'm gonna keep it for a bit. That's not the last you've seen of the stash.
Uh, is part of the next opponent the hope is it's a striker, not one of those grapplers like Gregor Gillespie and whatnot that just try to hold you down?
No, no. The fight with Gregor, I just had an off night, man. I'm a very good grappler. I'm a brown belt. I grapple with black belts all the time. I grapple with very good wrestlers all the time. I was just having an off night with Gregor. My game plan wasn't really the best game plan for him. Instead of me defend wrestling, I was trying to work on catching coming in, which is kind of a mistake, right? Someone that good at wrestling. Not that I wasn't worried about him pinning me down because I've yet to grapple with someone who could pin me down. I haven't grappled anyone who's my size that can pin me down, and if I don't want to get up, I don't get up. You know what I mean? Like if I want to get up, I get up. But I just made a mistake. Gregor capitalized on it. I made a mistake on something that we were training in the whole time against Gregor to prevent me from getting arm triangle because that's like his move. But I just made a mistake. He capitalized on it, and you know, what I mean, good job on his part. But like I said, it was just an off night. It's not gonna happen again.
All right, well, Vince, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cole. Thanks for having me, man.